Why do some countries refuse to take sides in great power conflicts? Today, as the world faces renewed geopolitical tensions between the United States and China, many countries in the global south are reviving an old idea, non-alignment. But where did this strategy come from? To answer that, we need to go back to 1955, to a historic meeting in Indonesia that changed the course of international relations, the Bandung Conference. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Global Insights. I'm Noah Zerbe. I'm a professor of international relations at California State Polytechnic University Humboldt. And today I want to explore a pivotal moment in 20th century history, the Bandung Conference. It's 1955, and the world is deeply entrenched in the Cold War, a bipolar struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. Many countries, particularly in Asia and Africa, have recently gained independence from colonial powers. They're navigating a world order not of their own making, often feeling caught between the two superpowers. Enter the Bandung Conference. 29 countries, including many newly independent states, representing over half the world's population, gather in Indonesia. They came together not to align with either the United States or the Soviet Union, but to forge a new path, a third way. So, why was the Bandung Conference such a big deal, and what lessons can we draw from it today? Let's break it down. In April 1955, leaders from 29 African and Asian countries gathered in Bandung, Indonesia. The conference was spearheaded by legendary leaders from the global south, including Nehru of India, Sukarno of Indonesia, Nasser of Egypt, Zhou Enlai from China, Kwame Nkrumah from Ghana, and so on. Their goal? To create a common political identity for post-colonial countries, a voice independent of competing Cold War blocs. What started as a conference quickly grew into a movement. Bandung wasn't about just making a statement, it was about action. And one of the most powerful actions that came out of Bandung was the birth of the non-aligned movement. Non-alignment essentially argued that countries didn't need to pick a side in the Cold War. They didn't have to be pawns in the Cold War chess match. Instead of joining NATO or the Soviet-led Warsaw Pact, they could chart an independent course, asserting their own sovereignty and independence and focusing on their own development and interests. But this wasn't just about neutrality. It was also about agency. By asserting their right to self-determination in a world that often seemed to offer only two choices, Bandung was a powerful statement that these newly independent states intended to exercise their sovereignty and chart their own path on the world stage. As a result, it was also about establishing a real break from the colonial past. Remember that for centuries, European powers had extracted wealth from Africa and Asia, controlling economies and shaping borders with little regard for the people actually living there. At Bandung, leaders pushed for something radical, real sovereignty, not just political independence, but economic and cultural autonomy too. As a result, a key component of the final declaration was a call for an end to neocolonialism, racial discrimination, and economic exploitation. But as we know, breaking free from colonial legacies is easier said than done. One of the most forward-looking ideas to emerge from Bandung was South-South cooperation. The idea that developing countries could achieve more by working with each other than by relying on former colonial powers or aligning with Cold War superpowers. These newly independent countries recognized their shared experiences of colonialism, underdevelopment, and marginalization. They sought to build solidarity and cooperation, fostering economic and cultural exchange, and presenting a unified front on the world stage. Bandung was thus a powerful symbol of this desire for collective self-reliance. This vision of cooperation evolved significantly over time. In the immediate aftermath of the colonial era, many developing nations remained economically tied and reliant on their former colonizers, trading raw materials for finished goods. But the seeds of South-South cooperation were sown at Bandung, representing a desire for self-determination and a move away from this dependence. While early efforts like the Latin American Free Trade Association had a limited impact, they laid the groundwork for future cooperation. Today, South-South trade is booming. Indeed, according to data from UNCTAD, the UN Conference on Trade and Development, the value of South-South trade increased from $600 billion per year in 1995 to more than $5.3 trillion by 2021, an almost ninefold increase. What's driving this boom? Three key trends. First, new economic powerhouses like China, India, and Brazil have become global production and trade hubs. China's going out strategy, for example, has led to billions of dollars being invested in African and Latin American infrastructure. Regional trade blocs and free trade areas like ASEAN and Mercosur have cut tariffs and built regional supply chains, helping countries like Vietnam and Bangladesh and others emerge as major exporters. And finally, technological advances and improved infrastructure, from internet to containerized shipping, from high-speed rail to improved telecommunications, have slashed trade costs, making it easier than ever for businesses in the global south to connect. The result? South-South cooperation is no longer just an aspiration. It's a dominant force shaping the world today. And South-South cooperation extends beyond just trade. We see it in joint infrastructure projects, in technology transfer programs, and in collaborative efforts to address shared challenges like climate change or public health crises. And while challenges remain, South-South cooperation has become a powerful force driving economic growth, creating jobs, and empowering developing countries to play a larger role on the global stage. It's a testament to the enduring vision that first took shape in Bandung nearly 70 years ago. The Bandung Conference can also be seen as an act of norm entrepreneurship. These countries were trying to reshape the norms of international relations, challenging existing power structures and advocating for principles like racial equality, self-determination, and peaceful coexistence. They sought to establish a new international order, one that was more just and equitable. We see this norm entrepreneurship play out in ways in which the Bandung Conference influenced major international institutions. For example, the principles of self-determination and anti-colonialism articulated at Bandung were adopted into United Nations General Assembly resolutions on decolonization throughout the 1960s. And the Group of 77, a coalition of developing countries in the United Nations, was formed in 1964 as a direct extension of the Bandung spirit, advocating for fairer global trade rules, and that group still plays a key role in international negotiations today. We also see Bandung norms playing out in debates over humanitarian intervention in places like Syria and Venezuela, where many countries in the global south push back, arguing that sovereignty should be respected. And we see it in calls by the BRICS bloc and the African Union to reform international institutions like the United Nations Security Council, demanding a global system that reflects the voices of the global south, not just those of the old colonial powers. In this way, Bandung wasn't just a historical event, it's an ongoing battle for a fairer international order. The Bandung Conference was far from perfect. The participating countries held diverse political ideologies, and the challenges of implementing their shared vision was immense. However, its impact was undeniable. It marked a turning point in global politics, giving voice to the aspirations of the countries of the global south, and laying the groundwork for the non-aligned movement. It reminds us that international relations isn't just about great powers, it's also about the agency of smaller states and their collective efforts to shape a more just world. So, 70 years later, does the spirit of Bandung still matter? Absolutely. Today, we see countries in the global south trying to balance relations with the United States, China, Russia, and the European Union while pursuing their own economic and political goals. Just like in 1955, many of these countries are pushing back against great power interference, calling for more fair trade, development financing, and multilateralism, a new vision of the Bandung spirit. But challenges remain. Post-colonial inequalities still shape global trade and finance, and the world is once again being pulled into geopolitical competition. Can the countries of the global south reclaim the Bandung vision to build a truly multipolar world? That, I think, is the big question. Today, we can see echoes of Bandung in how countries like India, Brazil, and South Africa are balancing relations between the United States, Russia, and China. Many countries are pushing for alternatives to Western-dominated financial systems, such as the new BRICS Bank, the New Development Bank. Could this be the next chapter of Bandung? The ideas of Bandung are far from dead, but how will they evolve? Will the Global South build a new world order, or will great power geopolitics once again take center stage? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And if you found this video interesting, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Until next time, I'm Noah Zerbe, and this is Global Insights. See you soon.